Hey, thank you, Angie, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My project is regarding understanding text from research articles, specifically from life sciences corpus. And we are using a technique commonly used in computer science called neural net, which is used to mimic the ability to learn patterns. And so this is mimicking the ability of the brain to learn patterns. So the main motivation behind the project is to assist researchers in annotating important entities from the research articles and derive a meaningful relationship amongst themselves. So this is a current screenshot from the prototype that we have right now, where we are annotating simple relationships from the research articles. So we have identified a couple of entity types to begin with, and as we make progress, we'll be expanding and adding more type of relations to it. So there's some challenges faced by researchers today are that the number of research papers published are increasing exponentially. So the main idea behind research is to do background research because there are a lot of people working on intercepting area fields, and it is very important to see what all are the related work done prior to the area of interest, which makes the literature search very difficult because there is no standard way of ranking research articles as opposed to the web search. And finally, analyzing the documents is a challenge in itself because researchers spend a lot of time and resources in annotating them manually and then finding forward references. So, why is it important to biology? Especially in biology, this is an example from a database known as StringDB, which is a protein-protein interaction database. So, what they have done is finding text excerpts from the research articles. They have annotated them, the proteins, and they have listed a relationship type. So, this is an example from the database. This helps researchers in quickly browsing through a lot of information, and using the such relations they can quickly understand a lot of concepts. So we intend on expanding the protein-protein interaction to other type of entities also and make it generic. So in current state of art, we have applied some statistical methods to link entities. When I say statistical methods, these means co-locality and the proximity of the entities amongst themselves in the research articles. But there are some challenges with this approach. Say I pick up two entities in the graph. I don't know what kind of relationship do they have, and sometimes they might be synonymous, sometimes they might be definition, and that is why we are expanding on putting a relationship type to each entity. We have identified some key challenges with our approach and natural language processing in general. So it is very difficult for computer to identify synonyms because there are different naming conventions used, for example, in America and European Union. Uh, and computer is also not able to figure out different expressions. So, for example, say non-smoker and does not smoke are technically the same meaning, but computer will treat them as different entities. Uh, uh, Notations also make it very difficult for the computers to figure out what is the meaning of the entity. If I just change the position of my quantity in the example, it becomes a different entity for my for the program. And on the contrary, two same words in different contexts might have completely different meaning, but computers sees them as same thing. So, for example, learning rate is a standard term used in the research where we say what is the rate of the learning for any disciple, whereas in machine learning we use it as a step function. So to deal with these challenges, what we have done is we have not only linked the entities but also put a relationship type amongst the entity. So going back to our previous example, say we have two entities. One is an EV1 and CXC4. You don't have to be biologist to understand these relations. It's just an example. So EV1 is a gene. So I instead of just saying that these two entities are related together, I say that EV1 is a gene, same CXC4 is a protein, and then I say that CXC4 has a dependency on EV1. So this makes my graph much more informative and people can understand it much better. So the way we are trying to achieve this is by using a database known as ConceptNet, which is a crowdsourced database with samples collected commonly samples collected from crowdsourced project to annotate these sample sentences. So, for example, this is a sentence from the database which says a saxophone is used for jazz, and the relationship type would be used for. So we break down each of these sentences into their part of speech, and then we train a neural net to learn the patterns. So once the neural net is trained, it will learn patterns, and for given any input, it will give me a relationship type of this kind. So for example, this would be related to is a definition, and so forth. So to summarize my talk, this is what we want to achieve: annotate documents. Current challenges is that looking at the graph, I cannot say what is a relationship type because all the entities are equal and linked somehow. And the proposed method is to annotate the relationship types themselves to make it much more informative. Finally, I would like to thank all my committee members for their continued support and effort.